Hey, how are you? So nice to meet you.
Likewise, I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Congratulations on Night Call. I love this film. I love your approach to action and everything about it. But I wanted to just hear
Thank
from
you.
you first. What was it like making a feature, going from making your first feature film?
It was daunting. Super exciting, but very rough. It was a pretty ambitious project, especially for a first feature.
I was gonna say it's pretty ambitious for a first feature, and I love that, but it's kind of it is daunting. It's got to be as a
Yeah, I
director
always
to.
love to try to make it a little bit bigger than possible and chew a little. What's the expression? A little bit more than I can chew.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Bite off a little bit. You.
Um, but yeah, no, I love that, and it was a super exciting project. And I feel like even though it was difficult, especially also because it's a Belgium movie with a quite small budget. I mean, it's a big
Yeah.
budget for a first time filmmaker here in Belgium, but for a movie this size, it's quite small. And so it was very hard on everybody, but I also could feel that everybody was super excited to do something quite different. We're more used to do really intimate dramas or social films here in my country, and so it's the kind of this kind of proposition got a lot of people excited, I think. So that's why they worked hard through the night and the cold here in we shot in the middle of winter in Belgium, which is
Oh
not great.
no, not the middle of winter.
Yeah, I mean, actually more the end of winter, but that year
Okay.
the that's when the cold was the coldest. I got
Yeah.
pneumonia on the shoot.
Oh no. Oh my God. I mean, what we
Yeah,
do
it
for
was
our
intense.
movies. But I love that you shoot so much at night. And so you was it's night call, but you shot at night. You didn't try to fake nighttime, basically.
We did like because yeah, the entire movie is by night, and we did maybe a quarter of the shoot was like day for night in interiors, but actually, most of the interior it had like big windows, or we
Yeah.
play with the exterior, interior, and so they weren't in the end. We thought we could do like half and half, but actually it was not possible. Also because the you cannot like switch every day, do night, and then because then the
No, like your your like sleep
yeah
schedule gets off.
yeah. So basically, at some point, we were like, okay, it's just easier to do almost everything by night just to keep this rhythm.
Yeah. Oh Lord. I know that night shoot life is difficult, but
I
I
tend
would.
to, if it wasn't for the cold, I must say I like it. I like it for two reasons. First, because that's kind of my schedule. Like I
Okay.
love to work late and I hate to wake up early. It's not that I need a lot of sleep, it's just for some reason I hate to
I
wake
get.
up early. And I love the fact that you're working when nobody else is. There is kind of a freedom, a feeling of
That's
nobody's
true.
gonna bother us now. We can do whatever we want. And so the whole crew is also more focused, you know. We want to get through this. We want to go home and get some sleep, and there is no distraction. You can't call your friends or your mother. You can't go have a drink on the break. You can't go buy something. Everything's closed. It's just us together as a team making something special.
That's amazing. That's actually a really good point. That's so cool. But I wanted to know locksmith. I locksmith. What a cool kind of like conceit to start with. Was that where it started with a locksmith for you with the idea? Like, what about that was so interesting as a
Um,
kernel for the film?
that was probably because to me every project is born from the encounter between a few different ideas, or at least between to say it kind of simply like a cinematic idea and more a thematic idea or a subject.
Mm, yeah,
And so here I think the movie is it's several different things that click together. It's the locksmith was probably the oldest idea I had. Like I have like a list of like jobs where I'm like that would be a great job for a character. And the night shift locksmith was definitely up there, and I always thought like what a great start to a movie, like what happens when he opens the wrong door. So that was maybe the first idea, but when everything clicked was when I had that, plus the fact that I always wanted my first feature to take place in one night because I love that kind of movie. I love the fact that it's in a way a coming of age story, but it happens in a very short amount of
Yeah.
time. And I think that can happen in life. Like I think your life can like suddenly something so big happens to you that it can be such a pivotal moment. And I think cinema is the best tool to express those kind of
Yeah.
experiences. And also the talking about police brutality, which unfortunately is still a very
Yeah.
relevant topic. And everything, when all those elements came together, that's when I started writing. So I had a pretty clear vision of what I wanted the movie to be when I started writing. I tend to take a lot of time to just collect ideas, and suddenly some
Oh,
story forms, and that's to me where it really starts.
that's amazing. And I mean, and I do love that you include the like the political, the socio-political situation in Brussels, but also the world in this. I think so often it's so easy for filmmakers to ignore that, but I love that you confront it and you include it in this narrative. I think that's so important to have that in here.
Well, it's just that again, it's not like I didn't do a movie because I had to express myself about a subject. It's
Yeah.
more again like when things click together and suddenly you feel the urge to tell a story.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
not like I'm not I don't know how to say in English, but a sociological expert. I'm not a
Yeah.
politician. I'm not. I'm what I love to do is tell stories with the cinematic medium, but then I have to talk about something I care about, or
Yeah.
at least represent the world I live in some way. I think that's, I wouldn't say a duty, but unconsciously I feel that responsibility, and anything you do
Yeah.
will be political one way or another. So,
Yeah.
but I do want it to be about cinema. I do want to use the tools of cinema to talk about our current day, or about something that's dear to my heart or that angers me. But it's never, I'm not like, oh, okay, I absolutely want to talk about that. So let's,
Yeah.
it's not a message. I'm not like, I don't have a message and then I put it into a film, because that's not my type of cinema. I need, like I said earlier, I need to have an encounter between a cinematic idea and something deeper that I care about. So here it was very clearly, I love this idea. I always love like a classic thriller with an innocent that is in the wrong place at the wrong time, the classic Hitchcock
It's so
thriller
good. It's so
hero.
good. Yeah.
And where it resonated, very to be very specific, where I thought that there was a movie relevant to make today in that genre, was that oftentimes in that typology of movies, you have the moment where the hero, the main character, decides or not to call the police, and it's always like, because that's what you're supposed to do, and usually there is like a bad excuse, like they don't believe him, or for some reason he can't, because the bad guy says if you do that, then we're gonna kill your wife, or
Yeah.
just there is no reception or
Yeah.
some reason. And here I'm like, okay, now actually deciding or not to call the police is a real subject matter. And I wanted in
Yeah.
this movie to be in the shoes of the character and feel like, oh no, if I was in that situation, probably I wouldn't call the police either. And he has good reasons not to do it. I'm not saying he's right not to do it. That's a bigger discussion, and I like that the
Yeah.
movie brings that discussion, but we understand why he doesn't and why he suffers the consequences of that decision.
Yeah. It sounds like you are like a big a cinephile. How did you get introduced to film? Like, has it been a lifelong thing for you, a love of film?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm not born into it, in the sense I don't have a particularly cinephile family, or I
Yeah.
actually go to theaters until like I was, I think, 7 or 8. So it took a while for me to actually go to a movie theater. So I discovered cinema on VHS, on tape, when I was very little. My first memory of seeing a movie, and almost my first memory period, is like watching Jurassic Park on VHS.
Oh, what a
Uh,
cool, oh, amazing.
Yeah, it came out in June of 93 and I'm born in June of 93. So I probably didn't see it then, but so yeah, no, and I guess in a way maybe I had kind of a I grew up in the countryside and
Okay.
was alone a lot. I mean, I have siblings and all of that, but they're older, and so I was watching a lot of movies since very early on, and probably
Cool.
maybe too much of the same movies, like what, yeah, John Woo and Spielberg and
Hell yeah.
Sam
Oh my God,
Raimi and
John
whatever.
Woo. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, and like that actually, John Woo saying John Woo, that's funny because I was curious about your approach to directing action because I feel like, especially as your first film, you're directing so many action sequences, and it sounds like,
I love it.
action films,
It's
yeah.
it's it feels to me like it's action, and it's not very original to say that, but it feels like one of the purest form of cinema, like just
Oh,
creating just with images and movement and sound, creating something that immediately
true.
brings sensation to the character. And I love the kinetic aspect of it. I think it's I mean it has been said a lot. I think Tom Cruise talks about that action is actually kind of the descendant of like the silent era, Buster Keaton and all of that. It's
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, I mean you it's very physical, it's kinetic, it's the body, it's telling a story just visually, and all of that is very pure and exciting to me. And if we're talking about inspiration and how I try to use action, I think one of the most inspiring director today, and it's funny because it's a long time working director, is George Miller, and how I love how he talks about action and how there is drama that is happening during the action. He says it like that, like they're not the action bits and the talky bits. It's everything is mixed together, and I really try to. I mean, in my movie, there are more talkative moments. There are more like sitting down
yeah,
and talking scenes, but in a way, those scenes are maybe not specifically the most dramatical scene. I
yeah,
approached each action scene as a very emotional, pivotal moment for the character. The first incident that starts the whole story is an action scene. It's a violent scene, and violence is emotional to me. And I wanted
yeah,
to treat it like that, not just like something pretty to and fun to look at, but something rooted in reality and where we feel for the character. And towards the end of the movie, where we feel for the different characters, even the antagonists. I think it's more exciting to see a chase if you obviously you are with our hero with Maddie, you want him to survive to get out of this, but you understand the motivations of Theo or the other characters,
yeah,
and and that makes the action more involving and exciting, and it tells a story. And by the way, I'll never thank enough my cast, and especially Jonathan, who plays the main character. But he
yes.
did such a strong physical how do you say preparation for the movie,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, he had to get in shape a lot and
Yeah,
and
that's true.
and learn the choreographies, because the important thing was, it like I said, it's not a huge budget, so we were very short on time. Like the big
Yeah.
chase in the middle of the crowd, that was like less than 2 days to shoot all of that with the
Oh.
yeah, yeah. And so he needs to go again and again, and we need to be fast. And I needed them to be ready so that we could focus on the, like I said, on the emotions and the real acting, because it's not an action scene where you just need to look cool and do the thing. You also need to emote. We need to see the fear. We need to see him think, make decision, and yeah.
It's so cool. It was such an honor to talk to you about this film. I love hearing you talk about the process and what making an action film and putting more thought into it. It's just been so great to chat with you, and I really appreciate it. And
Thank you.
congratulations on Night Call. It's so fun, question mark. But it's like
Yeah,
it's a
no, I
blast.
mean,
It's a
I
blast.
know I've said that it's not just supposed to be fun and look pretty, but still, I have no problem that making like it's to entertain the audience. I think there is no separation between doing something rough that talks about our day and age, but still make it entertaining, and it's okay to have fun watching the movie.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad you
Well,
had fun.
thank you. Well, congratulations.
Thanks.